Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Beach FM, just before he gets so busy he can't talk to us, I'm speaking to our acting Mayor James Cootes today because he was down at the airport this morning to see the last of the Air New Zealand flights going out. And we say good morning to James. Good morning, James.
Good morning, how are you doing?
Good. What was the feeling like at the airport this morning amongst the people flying out and those who may have just turned up to say farewell to it?
Look, it was actually really upbeat. It was quite a little bit of a buzz down there, and I guess that kind of puts the emphasis behind why we believe there is the need for a service out of there. Despite the gloomy weather, the mood there was not so gloomy. I guess it's probably slightly comforting for those that do use the service to hear that the council is working hard in the background to find a replacement.
Yes, well, of course, Air Chathams said on Thursday that they were looking into it and fairly positive. They've just got to have one or two things agreed to with the council, such as traffic lights at the end of Kapiti Road. So I suppose that's a big one for you, isn't it?
Yes, it's been interesting reading the comments online of different people's views. It was only a few weeks ago that everyone wanted a service, regardless. And then as soon as you mention a set of traffic lights, you get a few people backtracking.
Yes. Well, either that or they fly in smaller planes and you pay a dearer price to move out. I suppose that's the answer, isn't it?
Yeah, well, look, I guess even for myself, and you know me, I'm pretty honest and upfront when having these discussions with you. There's a lot behind the scenes that people aren't aware of, and even for myself it's been quite a learning curve being involved in some of the discussions, not all. A lot of it has been the Mayor and the Chief Executive working really hard behind the scenes with different parties. But, for example, I would have thought that another company could decide, yep, hey, look, we see value in that, we want to fly out of Parapara Umu, we'll be there next week, or next month. But what I wasn't aware of is that pilots and crew need to be approved through the likes of the Civil Aviation Authority or the Transport Agency. Not sure which one, but the point is that the captain and crew need to be approved, the flight paths need to be approved, the landings in terms of safety all need to be assessed for the type of plane. So there's a lot of work going on in behind the scenes just to make sure that everything all stacks up, including the passenger numbers. But we're confident that would that there's value in that airport in terms of the Auckland to Parapara Umu route, and obviously for someone like Air Chathams could potentially offer other routes as well. So, as I said this morning on another interview, as one door closes, another one opens, and there might be a bit of a blessing in disguise with Air New Zealand pulling out.
Yes, you've got to look at the positive signs of it. And, of course, Air Chathams, as you say, may not be the only one because they've got to consider what it costs in landing rights up at Auckland, I suppose. That's another thing, too, cost to them.
Yeah, so look, I think the team have been pretty mindful of talking to all possible providers for that service. One thing to keep in mind is it would be good to have a provider that can work with Air New Zealand in terms of connecting flights and being on the electronic system, so that for passengers booking it's a seamless transition. So that's, again, I just reiterate that there's lots of things to consider and to think about in finding the right fit. But at the end of the day, we would welcome anyone that's keen to fly over there and provide a good, reliable service. I think it's one of the things to kind of note, I mentioned it again this morning, is that the previous, with Air New Zealand there, it was plagued with cancellations and not wanting to sort of get stuck into Air New Zealand on this interview, but just to say that with a new provider, hopefully there's a higher level of service there for our community. So as much as I'm disappointed and others are disappointed at Air New Zealand pulling out, it wasn't like the service was seamless, and as you're probably well aware, had its own issues.
Yes, and you've got to think, although there was inconvenient cancellations at the last moment by Air New Zealand, but there's also weather considerations to be taken into account, so it doesn't matter which airline's flying. If the weather's no good, you can't get in.
Yeah, look, and that's true, but that's true for, most airports as well, and we're obviously well aware with Wellington there's the fog, where we don't sort of have those issues as much. Again, as I'm aware, there are issues around the the landing zone in terms of the length of the runway and so forth, and hence the discussion with our council around the need for traffic lights potentially a few times a week, but there would just be limited use just to allow that full power takeoff from what I can understand. But again, just talking about the impact within the community. I was speaking at a business network meeting out at Club Vista there a couple of weeks ago, and there are businesses that were, as an example, a business that was looking at a contract in Auckland with another company, and would mean them flying out sort of once or twice a week to fulfill that contract, and they've reevaluated whether it's worthwhile them doing that, with the thought of having to travel into Wellington in 2 hours traffic to catch a flight up to Auckland and back again. There are motels that house people for the flights, the cabin and crew, and you've obviously got all the airport staff there. So, there's implications right throughout the district for this. I know other business owners that will shoot up to Auckland for the day for a meeting. And so, we're, again, working really hard to try and find a replacement service as quick as we possibly can. But as I said earlier, there are certain things that are beyond our control in terms of getting authority to be able to fly out and so forth. So we're doing what we can, but yes. Some of these boxes need to be ticked.
Any consideration given to flying just a shuttle service from Paraparaumi to Wellington Airport? A lot of big airports around the world do this, and I think Auckland have shuttle services out of their place too.
Yeah, look, again, I think, I'm pretty frank about some of the stuff. I haven't been in that level of discussion to probably be able to give you an accurate answer for that. What I do know is there's plenty of discussions about flights to Christchurch and to Hamilton and other areas as well. So, again, looking at the positives to come out of this, potentially you have another provider providing a more reliable service to more destinations around the country, and, that's a good thing for our community.
James, thanks very much. Enjoy your time as acting mayor, and we'll hear more on the airport as it develops. Thanks very much indeed.
Always a pleasure.
James Cootes, acting mayor for the time being.
106.3 Beach FM.